You know, deep inside all of us, there's this incredible system working around the clock to keep us alive. It's not your heart, it's not your lungs, but believe me, it is just as vital. I'm talking about your body's thermostat, that master controller that keeps your internal temperature in that perfect, razor-thin zone for life. And most of the time, it's flawless. But what happens when it's not? So let me ask you, have you ever been in a room where you're just freezing, but everyone else seems totally fine? Or maybe the opposite, you feel like you're burning up for no good reason. Yeah, those aren't just random feelings. They could actually be clues that your body's delicate balancing act is being seriously challenged. And that idea, that our thermostat can be a little off, well, it brings us to a really fascinating and kind of surprising connection. We're going to put this internal thermostat on trial by looking at the link between our body's temperature control and a really complex, often misunderstood illness, chronic fatigue syndrome, or CFS for short. Okay, so check this out. This table comes from a study back in 2007, and the results? They're pretty staggering. When you look at things like shivering, sweating, even sudden changes in skin color and just feeling unusually warm, the patients with CFS reported these things way more often than the healthy group. I mean, the difference is just impossible to ignore. And here's the real takeaway from that. This isn't just a feeling. It's not all in their heads. This is solid evidence that a biological system is genuinely struggling. Their internal thermostat is just having a really hard time keeping things stable. So that begs the question, right? What is this thermostat? All right, let's go meet the boss. We're going to pull back the curtain on the brain's master control center, the tiny little wizard behind this whole operation. And that wizard is the hypothalamus. I mean, look, it's this tiny little spot right at the base of your brain, but you absolutely cannot let its size fool you. Think of it like your body's own smart control center. It's the hub that coordinates countless functions, and temperature, that's one of its biggest, most important jobs. But wow, it does so much more than just temperature. We're talking about your appetite and weight, your sleep cycle, even your emotions and behavior. It balances your salt and water, has a hand in your sex drive. Oh, and it's also the boss of the pituitary gland, which then goes on to direct a whole bunch of other glands. Seriously, it's the ultimate multitasker. Okay, so we've seen what it looks like when the system might be glitching from the inside. But what about when the system is working perfectly fine, but it's just completely overwhelmed by an outside force? Well, that's when we get into a real life and death struggle against extreme cold. We're talking about hypothermia. And when we talk about hypothermia, there is one number you really need to know: 35 degrees Celsius, or 95 Fahrenheit. The second your core body temperature dips below that line, you are officially in a medical emergency. Your body is losing heat way faster than it can make it. So, how does the cold launch its attack? Well, it basically has three main strategies. First, you've got radiated heat just pouring out of any uncovered skin. Then there's direct contact. Touching something cold, and especially cold water, just sucks the heat right out of you. And finally, you've got wind, which just rips away that little blanket of warm air right on your skin. Now, when your body starts losing this fight, it's not like flicking a switch. It's a process. It happens in very clear stages. In fact, medical pros have broken it down into 4 distinct grades of a body shutting down, and each one is scarier than the last. Let's look at the first 2 stages. In grade I, you're still with it. You're conscious, but you're shivering like crazy. And that shivering, that's your body burning a ton of energy trying to warm itself up. It's fighting. But then, in grade 2, something really dangerous happens. You start getting drowsy, confused, and the shivering stops. And that is a huge red flag. It doesn't mean you're getting better. It means your body is exhausted and is starting to give up the fight. And it gets worse from there, fast. In grade 3, the person is unconscious. They still have a pulse and are breathing, but the risk of their heart just stopping is sky high. And then there's grade 4. Below 24 degrees Celsius, there are no detectable vital signs. It's what's called apparent death. To anyone looking, they would think the person is gone. For all intents and purposes, they are. But this is where we get to one of the most incredible, almost unbelievable rules in all of emergency medicine. It's a saying that every paramedic, every ER doctor, every ski patroller lives by. And it is this: nobody is dead without being warm and dead. So what on earth does that mean? It's a paradox, really. The extreme cold that's killing you is also the only thing that can save you. See, as the body gets colder and colder, your metabolism slows way down. Your brain needs way less oxygen, so much so that the brain can actually survive for a really long time, even without a heartbeat. The cold basically puts the body into a kind of suspended animation, making a full recovery possible even after things look completely hopeless. But this amazing chance at survival all comes down to knowing what to do. And that's what we're going to talk about now, the practical, empowering stuff. How do you stop this from ever happening? And what do you do if you or someone else is in real trouble? Okay, for just general cold weather safety, the Mayo Clinic has this super easy acronym to remember. Just think COLD. C is for cover. Wear a hat, wear mittens. O is for overexertion. You want to avoid getting all sweaty because wet clothes make you cold. L is for layers. Lots of loose, lightweight layers are your best friend. And D is for dry. This is the big one. Stay as dry as you possibly can. And for the absolute worst case scenario, falling into cold water, these tips could literally save your life. First, wear a life jacket. It keeps you afloat without you having to burn precious energy. Try to get as much of your body out of the water as possible. And don't try to swim for it unless you are super close to safety. Swimming just makes you lose heat faster. Huddle up with other people if you can. And finally, get into the HELP position. That stands for heat escape lessening posture. You just pull your knees into your chest to protect your core. So when you think about it, everything we've talked about, from the subtle, mysterious signs of a system that's out of whack, like in chronic fatigue syndrome, all the way to a dramatic fight for your life against the freezing cold, it all comes down to one single concept: balance. Your body is in a constant, delicate battle to keep that balance. So I guess the only question left is, now that you know what's at stake, how are you going to help it win?